Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right. Do we have any veterans in the audience tonight? If you are a veteran, please stand and be recognized. And any new members tonight? Do we have any new members? Ann Miller's a new member. Thank you, Ann. All right. By form of announcements, you see all these signs right here? They're not going to do any good in my shed. So if you're a candidate, take them home with you. Okay, put them out. You've got election coming up, but they're not going to be any good being in storage. So please take your signs with you. There are Trump and Vance signs for sale for $20. Volunteers are needed. See members of the board. I don't know what that's about. That's okay. And let me go over tonight's rules, okay? Candidates will have 5 minutes to make their presentation. If necessary, the order of candidates will be determined by a coin toss or drawing of straws, and I believe it's going to be in alphabetical order. Is that correct? Okay. Surrogates will not be allowed to participate in place of a candidate. No placards, posters, stickers, or other such campaign materials may be displayed other than what's out there now during your talk. Candidates may not use any type of technology during their speech except for the microphone. Candidates will be given a signal by Miss Ann Miller, again our newest member today. Okay, she's going to let you know when 30 seconds are up. The candidates are asked not to interrupt each other, please. No participation in the forum will be allowed to use props or visuals. No participant in the forum may touch any other participant during the debate. Is that really necessary? You think someone's going to slug another person? God, I hope not. I hope we're better than that. No foul language, okay, or vulgar or dirty looks at anybody. Okay, no more. The club president may interrupt any candidate. And oh, by the way, the club president cannot be here tonight. He took ill last week, so him and his wife are home tonight recuperating, so please keep them in your prayers. So I'll interrupt if you get out of line, and I'll be acting like the club president tonight, or Yoga will, one or the other, right? We'll work as a team, okay? Written questions will be permitted. There's some question forms back here if you have a question for one of the people speaking, but they're only going to be done if it's written, and they must be submitted prior to the end of the presentation. Questions may be selected by the club's forum committee, and each candidate will be given an opportunity to answer the question for 2 minute time. Candidate order is answered in rotation, and at the end you'll have 3 minutes to wrap it up. Does everybody understand the rules and can repeat all what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, without further ado, you're here tonight for a reason. Yoma, come up, and we'll start calling our candidates out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. My name is Yoma Goodhue, and I am the club's vice president. And this evening we have candidates from District 1 for commission, but Giovanni Palencia will not be here. He never responded to his invite. So we have J.R. Newbold, and he'll be able to tell you what he's about. And I hope everyone's been to the polls or have plans on going. This is a very important election. So take it away, J.R.
I have a tendency to speak softly, so we'll try to get this thing situated. Can everybody in the back hear me okay? Mr. Lane, you good? Thank you. My name is J.R. Newbold. I'm running for District 1 County Commission. I saw in our invite it was District 5, but if you don't know, District 1 is more or less south of the Duns Creek Bridge. There's a little carve out on the right when you're going down on Buffalo Bluff side that belongs to a different district. But Satsuma, Malacca, Fruitland, Georgetown, Crescent City, Pomona, Lake Como, Dunn's Creek to the Volusia County line is my district. Anyway, I am born and raised in the area, born here in Blackhawk, raised in Crescent City, went to public school there, elementary, high, graduated from Crescent City High School in 1985, attended St. John's River Community College back in the day, got my AA here, went on to Florida Southern College in Lakeland, got a fantastic education in both places. At Lakeland, I studied business marketing, received my BS there. Graduated in 1989, came back to work at the family farm. A couple of years after I got back, I married my sweetheart, Angie Pope, Laura Pope. Her father was a local Baptist minister. She and I have been married 31 years. We have 2 daughters that are off in college, a junior and a senior. Living a good life there. After coming back from college, I got involved in the family farm. Newbold have been farming in the Crescent City area since the late 1800s. Started off in citrus. My grandfather added cut foliage as a diversity. I came in and added a wide variety of Christmas greens. We added muscadine grapes about 15 years ago, so been managing that farm actively since 1990, more or less. When I got back from college, I started in my civic life, getting involved in civic activities that I saw my father involved in my whole life. I chose a little different path from him strategically to do things that he didn't do. But I got involved in our Fern Cooperative, became the president. I was on the board there for 10 years, president for 5 years. I got involved in Farm Bureau, the St. John's Putnam Farm Bureau. I was a director and treasurer there for a short time. I'm the president of the Florida Wine and Grape Growers Association, the state president, on the Viticulture Advisory Council, which is a position appointed by the Commissioner of Agriculture. I've been on the Putnam Soil Water Conservation District, the Fair Authority. The Fair Authority is an organization I'm proud to have been involved with for a long time. We've seen a lot of growth, have a great group of commission-appointed board members there who spent a lot of hard work and effort making that facility into something pretty special. A lot of good things still slated to go on there. I'm on the Putnam Peninsula Historical Society, and I'm the director for Farm Credit of Florida. So I've had a wide variety of public service and industry service activities, and I started that early. And a lot of my friends would kind of give me a hard time and say, come hunt with us more. Let's go play golf more. Let's go do these things. And while I enjoyed those, I've been invested in the community, and always been taught that if you want something better, don't just talk about it, get involved with it, and try to push it forward. So it's kind of the impetus for all those activities. I've recently picked up a few endorsements. Former Congressman Ted Yoho and City Commissioner Bill Pickens. So those are a few of my recent endorsements. That's really what I have as a form of introduction. Not having a permanent present today, I don't know how we'll run this back and forth. We can field questions. I can hit a few platform points. However, you guys would like to run the clock. Okay, no questions.
30 seconds.
Well, some of my platform points are strategic growth management, promoting business and jobs in Putnam County, and a whole basket of topics that fall into quality of life. And that gets pretty deep. So if we end up with a spot for questions, I'd love to field some.
Time.
Well, if my time runs out, my name's J.R. Newbold. Please come vote on August 20th. I'd like to be your next commissioner district.
You got 2 minutes to wrap up.
Okay.
So now you got your 2 minutes.
Got my 2 minutes. All right, I'll just touch on a couple other things. I mentioned a couple of the the items that are pretty universal across most of our candidates. You know, the strategic growth planning. You know, it is time to, in my whole lifetime, my grandfather, my father, things are going to happen here. Things are going to grow. All this stuff is going to happen. Well, it's happening now. We're everything around us has been growing. Populations outside of Putnam have been growing. Ours is going to grow here soon. So we've got to be intentional about the growth. We've got to think about our infrastructure, where we push the road infrastructure further, where we place those water and sewer infrastructures in relation to our comp plan. I think our comp plan needs revision, at least tweaking. The land development code, probably more attention. Anyway, that gets down in the weeds a little bit of it. Let's see. Promoting business and jobs. It's a huge deal. I spent some time in St. Johns County. I saw kind of the mess that is that's turned into. We've got to have a better mix of residential and business. We've got to focus on business development here. We are blessed to have Seminole and GP and Lafarge and the new wallboard plant and Camarco. And I think we've got an entity in place, and the commission should foster it. The Elevate Putnam program is a good example of the ideas that we need to have local business invested in and actively investing in and pulling other businesses from other parts of the country. Because those guys, they see when we bring those other businesses in, it's going to help elevate the community as a whole and their businesses as well. So I think the county can take a little more active role in that process. My quality of life. Very good. We'll have other forums here soon. There'll be, well, I think most of them are going to be after the August election, but I'll still be out and about speaking. So we'll have other opportunities to flesh some of that out. So please come out August 20th and vote for Beaufort County Commission District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, JR. Okay, next we have our school board candidates, and we're going to go in alphabetical order. So we will have David Buckles up first.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Buckles. I'm a lifelong resident of Putnam County, and like JR, my family's been here for generations throughout the area. So anyway, I grew up here, graduated from Black South High School. I attended community college here, went to the University of Florida, majored in education, came back and went to work. Spent 3 years in private school, the old Briarwood School, where I see many of the parents of some of my former students from out there, and I even see a former student or two. After 3 years there, I was called by my former high school principal, who was the superintendent, John Gaines, and they were coming out, the state had allowed to have alternative schools, and he asked me to please consider going to work and trying to run one, and he sent me to Price Middle School. I took a job and ran the first one out there for a year for kids who were up for suspension, expulsion, you name it, different things, drugs, the whole 9 yards. And after that, he called me to go into Palatka, to the old school board office on the Campbell Administration Building. And I spent a year there with the kids that were up for having massive amount of drugs, weapons, things like that. In lieu of expulsion, I dealt with it. And had a lot of interesting experiences, and spent time even taking some of my students to work and build fences on the weekend and make money on the side. And taught them what I could. Some of them made it and did well. Some of them were in prison for murder. So, you know, we take anybody and everybody that show up at our doors in public schools. We don't have a choice. But I went from there after 1 year to become a dean at Beasley Middle School and handled discipline at Beasley Middle School for 3 years. And then C.L. Overturf was the school superintendent. He called me and wanted me to go to Palatka High School and be an assistant principal. And I told him, I said, I'd rather cut a deal. I was living in East Palatka at the time, and go over to the Browning Pierce School in East Palatka where my children went to school. They had a unique set of problems, and I wanted to go see if I could try to fix it. And the school was a two-campus school over a mile apart. And I spent a couple of years there, and then a bond issue was passed in the early 1980s to build new schools in Putnam County. Kind of about as miserable as this last one's been. We had a taxpayer league formed that came to school board meetings and just ad nauseum, people, you know, didn't like it. But we built some really nice new schools throughout Putnam County, and we moved the Browning Pierce School to San Mateo. And after a few years, I became the principal there and became one of 21 model schools in the state of Florida, recognized by Frank Brogan for having a high-achieving, high-poverty school, recognized in a booklet disseminated statewide throughout the state of Florida. After serving some years there, I ran for school superintendent, served 12 years as school superintendent in Putnam County. I had a lot of experiences there that you just can't imagine. I mean, you can sit here and think of the worst that can happen, and it does, and some of the best things that could possibly happen, and it does occur. But you're not fully prepared if you've never had to be responsible for the safety and security of over 1,000 people and 10, 12,000 kids at night. But from there, I was appointed to a vacancy on the board by Florida Governor Rick Scott, and been on the board for quite a while now, and term limits will make this my last term. But I've got 8 grandchildren. I've got a sister with a teacher, a mother with a teacher. I've got 2 daughters that are teachers. I've got 2 granddaughters studying to be teachers in Putnam County right now, and I was a teacher. So my heart is here. I've never really left, and I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay right here and give it the best shot. But a lot of things have happened in the last year, and the rhetoric you hear is not as it seems. In 2008, before I left, we obtained district-wide accreditation for the Putnam County School District, and it just got reaffirmed this week in a school board meeting. So I'm very proud. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next, we have Leon Edenfield. Bring him back. Come on up.
Good evening, folks. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come this evening and speak. I'm Leon Edenfield. I'm born here in Palatka. I'm a Bostwickite, raised in Bostwick on the north side of the county, class of 78. Woo-hoo. I went to Central. That was for the new high school. My class was the first graduating class of the new high school. Just to kind of let you know a little bit about me, I've been married to my wife Janice for 43 years. We have 2 daughters and a son, which is deceased. I have 5 grandchildren. And just to kind of let you know a little bit about my background, I'm a 21-year retired Air Force Master Sergeant with 14 years in military human resources, which is also called and known as recruiting. From 86 to 92, I spent my life right here in Putnam County employing young graduates to help them get jobs. And so with that, my life has been all about serving country, county, and community. I'm a graduate of the Air Force's Leadership School, the Senior Leadership Academy, and I've earned my bachelor's degree from Liberty University. along with 5 Air Force Commendation Medals and Meritorious Service Medals. So with that, don't mean nothing if you've never been in the military, but those have, you kind of know what it takes to do that. 9 years ago, I'm retired civil service with the Department of Defense, and where I reconcile budgets, manage multi-million-dollar budgets and reconciliations, audits, the whole gamut of purchasing. I was a certified government purchaser. 9 years ago, I began St. John's Christian School out in Bostwick. Yeah, I never had the privilege of being appointed to a school. I just helped create them. So with that, today we're just starting our first day of school. I've been the director and an educator there for 9 years, and also we're starting our first daycare in Bostwick along with our VPK program. So I'm doing all I can in North Putnam to make an impact for community. I'm the senior pastor of St. John's Baptist Church, the owner of LE Lane Clearing, which also does construction site prep, which I'm well familiar with what it takes to build buildings. I'm also a member of course, PLACA's American Legion. Now, as an active school director, I personally interview every parent and student that wants to come to our school, to include bus drivers. And I ask them the tough question, why are you leaving public schools to come to our program? And they have consistently told me the same thing. I'll share a few of the reasons why but it's mostly their concerns I want to address tonight. One, the moral compass. They say it's been broke and dismantled in the public school system. Respect for God, country, and family core values has been lost in the wake of progressivism. Students' disrespect, their vulgarity, their violence and aggression towards teachers have just risen beyond acceptability, so they're leaving. Their teachers are leaving, drivers are leaving, students are leaving, which now they take their money with them when students leave the public school system due to school choice. And so they've had enough of this gender misidentification and woke agenda, the violence. They just said, I'm done. And as a Christian, I can respect that. And so anyway, I'm running to address their concerns that it's not only causing a population reduction of students, but a loss of funding as well. If we don't listen, we're going to wake up one day and have all these new buildings with no students in them because they're all going to my school, public schools. I never went to a private school, I went to public. But the private schools like I have, people, I know why they're doing it. But my heart's for public because everybody cannot go to a private school. Now, I just want to help bring the order and respect back into the classrooms. I've had to deal with this much over the past 9 years. I have a plan and a pathway that works effectively, and I want to be able to reduce the distractions and the contention in the classroom. And I'll start with banning cell phones. It worked in my school when I did that. Always a lot of kickback, but it worked. And that was a good start on getting students to listen and learn instead of creating chaos. But also the materials, to make sure that the materials in the schools are appropriate for learning and not that is nothing to do with academia or life skills. So in that, I would just say I want to use my diverse professionalism experience that has went from federal down to local, and I want to work with our superintendent and our board members to slow down the exodus of these students that are leaving and taking the funds with them. So that's really my goal right now. There's much more, but the time, of course, don't allow us to touch on it. Unfortunately, there's only one seat. Mr. Bustles has a tremendous history and done great, but there's only one seat. No disrespect to him, I just want it, that's all. So I just want a shot to make some changes that I know the parents have been telling me for the past 8 years. Thank you for your time. Any questions? You good?
Thank you, David. Next, we have Timothy Hotel.
Leon. That's Leon.
Sorry.
Leon.
Thank you, Leon. And Phil? Timothy Hotel, otherwise known as Tim Ho.
The Tim Ho part comes from all the salesmen that want to have your whole name just so that they can have a lead. And it's sort of fun to watch them when you say, no, that's all Tim Ho. And anyhow.
Microphone. time.
As you can tell, I'm not a public speaker. Is this working?
Yeah, talking to.
Okay. Anyhow, my whole career is sort of made up in this image that I have, tilting windmills, running my head into cement walls, trying to get change. There's a lot of stories back in Detroit, which I ended up to after having invested 4 years in education, industrial arts, and biology minor to find out that it's perfectly a wonderful combination but totally unemployable. So I went to play cops and robbers in Detroit, ended up with the Immigration Service, Border Patrol, had a target-rich environment, a good time. I retired here 10 years ago. My wife, because of the thing that I'd read in Field and Stream magazine when I was a young whippersnapper about the bass capital of the world. We were fortunate enough to get a place where I can watch the river go by. Unfortunately, we watched eelgrass disappear, and I spent probably 5 years working with Fish and Wildlife on getting our bowgrass back. During that time frame, I watched, when I first came here, I ended up sucked in because I tend to write letters to the editor. I got sucked into the American Patriot News, the free newspaper that went around. First off, I was just a writer, and then I became an editor, and then I became an everything, and after about 4 years, it was a little bit too much of everything. And I backed out and just watched and wrote letters. And in that skill set, I guess, of watching and asking questions, I watched the $300 million bond issue being pushed. It didn't seem like a universal push. It seems that it was poorly implemented. That the question in my mind, how can they hire a really expensive firm, well, I assume really expensive, a professional firm to give them guidance on how to put everything together and how to present the bond to the taxpayers so it'll get passed, and miss the fact that the materials price went from $300 million to what I've most regularly heard, $700 million. And the schools that were described by the administration as all having bad roofs and bad HVAC and in terrible state and having to be replaced, all of a sudden, when they ran out of money, we're going to rehab it and it'll be really great. Just today I went to my third different person on the bond oversight committee and heard the same refrain. They've asked information about how the money's being spent, and they're unsatisfied with the results they get. There's just, to me, too many unanswered questions, and each unanswered question leads to another. And so I've made myself available to voters as an alternative, as somebody, as you can tell, I'll open my mouth and I'll ask questions, and I will make sure that it gets out to anybody that cares to know. And that's basically my platform. I'll ask questions. I'll know that if we're going to go build a new school, we need somebody with that skill set available working purely for the school system, rather than a principal that's been tasked with building 8, 10, 12 schools. It just seems to me we owe it to the taxpayers, and actually to the upper administrators that have worked real hard on this, to not end up being led through the muck. And I don't care for muck, so I'm offering myself. That's me.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, the next category is, it's kind of, a lot of people aren't familiar with it, but the state committee woman. And up for that are two Williams that are not related. And Diane Williams, Tim's relative, she cannot make it tonight because she has a thing that she has to go to at the school where she works. So I will have, at this time, Rhonda Williams come up and tell us what she's going to do and hopefully what that committee woman job is.
Thank you, everyone. So my name is Rhonda Drackett Williams, and I'm a lifelong Republican, and born and raised in St. Johns County. I've lived 20 plus years here in Putnam County, but my roots go further back than that. So I have on my mother's side of the family the Pagets, who lived here in Putnam County since the 40s, and on my father's side of the family, I have the McCormicks, that my great-great-grandparents actually moved to Hall Creek down in Crescent City area in 1899. I actually have a copy of a letter that my great-great-grandfather wrote home to St. Augustine, and it said that it was Christmas Eve and Hall Creek had frozen over. So that can tell you how long ago it was. We have an important election coming up, as we all know, here in August, and it's going to be really important that we get the vote out. And I am very excited to ask, please, for your vote for Republican County State Committee Woman. And what that is, I can sum it up in a sentence, it's a liaison. It's a liaison position between the Republican Party of this county to the state. And that person goes, there's a state committee man and a state committee woman. The state committee man is Mike Scaleppi, that you all may know. He's a member of this club. And the two of us, along with the chair of the REC, would be the people who would communicate back and forth from the state to local. So what I do is like to quickly outline for all of you why I believe I'd be a good state committee woman for you all. First of all, I believe I'm a proven leader. I'm proud that I was recognized by Congressman Mike Waltz, actually here in this room last year, as an outstanding servant leader. And so I was very proud of that moment and shared it with many of you that are here tonight. I also, along with our executive team, we grew this club from 40 people when I first became president 3 years ago to over 200 people. And that was a great accomplishment. Right now, we're back up, as you all may know, every January, our membership is to zero, and then everyone has to rejoin. So it's a challenge sometimes to keep that up. It's easier in an election year than a non-election year, but right now we're back up to about 120 members. I'm a tireless volunteer. I work regularly for this club and for the REC. Volunteer on boards such as Hastings Main Street and the Education Foundation of Putnam County. I also happily support organizations like Simon's House Food Delivery, Feed the Need, and the Boy Scouts of America. I am a faithful follower of Jesus Christ. I'm a conservative Christian. I've been a member of St. Paul's Episcopal Church at Federal Point for more than 20 years. And I serve my church on a local level and all the Episcopal churches in Northeast Florida to include those here in Putnam County as a member of the Diocesan Council. Last year, I was honored when the retiring Right Reverend Samuel John Howard, Bishop of Florida, awarded me with the Bishop's Cross. My certification that he gave me reads, "You have been recognized as a servant of Christ, who has given most generously of your God-given time, talent, and treasure toward the support and upbuilding of the body of Christ and the strengthening of this diocese." I'm very proud of that award. I'm also a supporter of Trump. I proudly stand with President Trump and his vision for America, and my support is unwavering, and I'll continue to champion his policies and his principles. I've also had the honor of having some people help me, and so I'm going to quickly ask them to be recognized. So I've got a troop that's been helping me, Miss Ann Miller, Miss Barb Altman, Miss Donna Holt, Yoma Goodview, Denise Satterwald, Miss Tinker Green, Miss Mary Bernstead. So I want to thank everyone for their support. I also have had the pleasure of receiving endorsements, and those endorsements include Bobby Payne, our state rep, Joe Pickens, president of this college, Joan Browning, Florida Department of Transportation Commission in the back, Terry Turner, County Commissioner, Larry Harvey, County Commissioner, Phil Leary, Vice President of the Putnam County School Board. So please, let's have our voices heard loud and clear on August the 20th, and please vote for me, Rhonda Drackett Williams, to ensure that we have strong leadership representing us in Tallahassee.
Good.
I also would like to say one thing, if I could take up an extra few seconds. The elephant in the room, besides the one that we all know, is there was a very nasty political piece that went in the mail about me. Most of you probably received it. It's a complete lie. The information was misconstrued. I promise all of you, I was never indicted for stealing millions of dollars. If you want to hear more, I'd be glad to stay after. I have information I can share. I can tell you about who sent the piece out. And I just wish that in this day and age, we could run a race on our own merits and not through character assassination of our opponents.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for coming and heard from our candidates tonight. Right now, early voting, so those of you who haven't voted yet, early voting is going to happen until August 17th. And then the big day, the 20th, primary day. So please get out and vote if you can. We took our family the other day and voted. Upcoming events will be Constitution Day, September 15th at 2:30 at the Presbyterian Church. The next board meeting will be September 5th, and our next monthly meeting will be September 12th. And Yomi, you want to explain who's going to be here for the next meeting and why they're coming?
Well, I'm not that sure.
Here, I get it.
Okay, next month, we have the pleasure of Timothy Parker, our property appraiser, and he's going to come in and he will be talking to us about the amendments, which I find very difficult sometimes to understand. People have a knack of making bad things sound good and good things sound bad, and so hopefully he can come in and break that down for us. And he's in his last part of his term, and he's been a real pleasure, and I really appreciate him coming in. So I hope you guys show up, and I'm glad everyone here came tonight. It's a nice crowd. Good to see you. That's all I have to say.
And before we adjourn, Bob, you want to come up and do your vice president thing real quick? Do you have it? Who's pulling it? Who's going to pull it? Please, thank you.
We recently had a 50-50 Trump VP tickets that people filled in, and today we're going to draw the winner. there were 12 people who filled in J.D. Vance as the VP. So those 12 are in the box. One of those people will win $80. They're not in the box.
Who's gonna draw?
That's okay.
Who's gonna draw?
Pick
The
some-
meeting, that's what you're on.
So we'll adjourn the meeting for now before we have the drawing. If you can hang around after, we do need to clean up and get out of here before the college. I think it's 7:30 or something, we gotta be gone. So, I'd say 7:30, we need to be out. Okay, not
They
the-
don't pay you for that.
All right. So the meeting's adjourned, but hang on for 2 50/50s. This one and